Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. If the playoffs were to start right now in college football, here is how things would look based on the current AP Top 25 rankings. I see in that upper left corner a South Florida showdown between South Florida Bulls and the University of Miami. Love that. Give me more of that, please. Bottom right corner, meanwhile, looking at Texas and FSU. What a renaissance the FSU squad has had this year. Curious, though, to see what our Sportsline team feels when it comes to some of these matchups and teams as they fight for college football playoff rankings. We've got Sportsline's Mackenzie Brooks joining us here to tell us what's what and we're going inside the lines. I love this segment and what's on the line and all of those things. It feels very early to talk about this, but it feels like this is the time of year where all of that stuff at the end of the season is going to matter. And I want to get the conversation started with Notre Dame. Of course, the rematch against Texas A&M. They were able to squeak out the win last year. Chip Patterson told me yesterday on Spotlight that he believes that this Notre Dame team can get all the way to the quarterfinals of the CFP. Wow. So we're going to get to your bracket in a minute. But first, tell me what's on the line when it comes to this matchup.
Yeah, it is week 3, but this is really everything for Notre Dame. You lose this game and you drop to around a 10% chance to make the playoff. And here's why. You have to go 10-2 if you are Notre Dame. You are only competing for an at-large bid. You don't have the luxury of maybe falling short in some games in the regular season and then saying, okay, maybe at least we can still win our conference championship and get the automatic bid. They need all the style points they can get, and they need a win against a ranked team, especially after losing to Miami. So if you start this season 0-2, I don't care who you play the rest of the season. It's objectively hard to just win 10 straight games, right, and win out. So this is absolutely crucial for this Notre Dame team. If they win this game, they certainly skyrocket back up to around that 40%. But if they lose this, again, just detrimental for them, 10%. Texas A&M won't see as much of a dramatic swing again because a lot of these other teams can play eventually for a championship. So it's not as important. We're not really seeing Texas A&M as maybe, a third best team in the SEC, but they're still competing to be the 4th or 5th. So definitely helps to have a Notre Dame win under your belt.
How much is that amplified knowing that right now this is the last ranked opponent that they have on the schedule?
Right. That's huge. I mean, this team needs style points, right? And style points are also crucial against teams with a pulse. So not performing against Miami already puts you in a hole. If you make that hole even deeper against this Texas A&M team, you have got to win all your games and you have to look so good doing it too.
Yeah, it's crazy, the margins and what we're seeing now, the parity in college football. For those of you at home, a quick refresher. Notre Dame won in College Station last year, 23-13, the season opener. It was also the debut for Mike Elko. So we're excited to see this rematch, ranked-on-ranked action. I want to take you to the SEC, Kens. You're home. We're going to talk about your Georgia Bulldogs. They are taking on Tennessee. And it's interesting, when you look at this matchup historically, the spread's been a little bit bigger. But when we go into this one, I've seen it bobble 3.5, 4.5 as well. The last time it was that small was back in 2016 when Tennessee was a 3.5-point favorite. First and foremost, how does that make you feel as a Dogs fan, and what do the numbers tell you?
Listen, I mean, we eat this rivalry for breakfast. We've won the past 8 games by double digits here, and they're also covering the spreads every time. This is a prime Kirby Smart spot. People are worried about the way Georgia looked against these FCS teams the first 2 weeks. Kirby Smart's not airing out the playbook for those 2 games. That'll tell you. We haven't even used our shiny new weapons, our new transfers yet. So I'm excited for this game. I think it's a really good spot for the Georgia Bulldogs. With that said, if they win this game, they do move to around a 75% chance to make the playoffs. Again, just winning these conference road games is so good for your resume here. For Tennessee, it's obviously not as massive as a swing because we don't really see them competing for the SEC championship here. But what I will say is when you have an Alabama who's falling down, and if you have that Georgia win under your belt and other things fall your way, and maybe we're looking for 5 teams from the SEC to make the college football playoff, Tennessee winning this game specifically completely puts them in the conversation for one of those 5 teams to be in the playoff.
Does that make you nervous at all?
Not at all, Haley. Listen, nothing about Knoxville makes me nervous. My senior year was when they were #1 and came to Athens, and Georgia was #1 in the AP poll. And you know what? It ended as a really happy night. That's all I'll say.
We're going to have to get you and Emily Proud in on some kind of bet. That's the bowl there. Emily is a proud Tennessee grad. Let's switch the orange, though, and talk about Clemson. They had a jump scare, last week against Troy? It almost looked like the Trojans were going to pull away. Something that they have done, I will say, in the past. Troy upset LSU back in 2018. But when we talk about the Tigers, Kens, it just seems like there's never enough, right? Whether it's the transfer portal, whether it's the talent, whatever it is, they always lose. They're facing Georgia Tech, who has been the ACC slayers the last few years. And if they lose this game, I want to make sure I get the numbers right, their CFP chances plummet to 16%.
Yeah, because listen, at that point, you're 1-2. You almost lost to Troy. And now your only way to get into the college football playoff is to win that ACC championship. If Clemson looks that bad, if Notre Dame looks bad against Texas A&M, these are all outside noises that will determine how many teams we want from the ACC. Last year we took 2. It didn't really bode well when you saw SMU in that first round. It's going to be this battle of, do we want 5 SEC teams or do we want 2 ACC teams? So Clemson and their aura that they carry directly is correlated to how many of those teams we're going to get. So that's why it's so dramatic and they dropped to that 16%, because your only shot at that point is literally winning your ACC championship. Georgia Tech obviously is in a different spot, but looking at this Clemson schedule, like there's a lot of games they could still lose outright here. They've never beat SEC teams. If you're looking at the end of that schedule there with South Carolina, you got SMU at Louisville. That's not an easy game. That's a game they lost last year as well. So it doesn't look great for them at that point. If they lose this game, I think they have to win out to make it to the ACC championship. That's why it's so dramatic of a fall there.
Of course, they set the tone in the battle of Death Valleys. They lose that battle to LSU, so obviously that also puts them behind the 8 ball. To your point, they just can't seem to beat the SEC, it feels like.
Just means more, Haley.
It just means more. Okay, let's get into your chaos bracket.
Yeah.
This is like my favorite part when you guys get chaotic here. So we showed the AP bracket earlier. If the season were to end, that's what it looks like. This is your chaos bracket, though, so walk me through what we're seeing in here and what we can expect if this were to come.
So hypothetically, if Tennessee beats Georgia and if Georgia Tech beats Clemson and if Texas A&M beats Notre Dame, okay, that makes Notre Dame like 30th in our power ranking. That brings Texas A&M up to 13, so they start sitting in the conversation. They don't quite make it here. But this is a situation, again, if Clemson looks bad, that's not good for the ACC in general. We're only going to take that ACC winner there, which we have projected to be Miami at that point, if Clemson really just looks like a bad football team at that point. In turn, when you just have the ACC champion, you have 5 SEC teams, Georgia and Texas, who we'd probably have projected around the SEC championship. Tennessee makes their way in. Again, if they have that head-to-head against Georgia, obviously we're going to give them a good seed there. You got Ole Miss and Missouri. These are 2 teams, not necessarily the highest power ranking, but they have really favorable schedules. So we think that that can carry them to be the number 4 and number 5 coming out of the SEC. That 12 up there, a lot of people like South Florida. I hear you. You still have to win your conference championship to make the college football playoff. They haven't done that yet, and we still like Memphis's odds to win the American Conference better than we like South Florida here. They play each other head-to-head, so obviously we'll get a lot clearer picture once we see that later in the season, but we like Memphis in that game, so that's why we have Memphis winning their conference championship, getting that group of 5 spot here, and of course you see the Big 3, Big 10 schools as well, and USC. Now that Michigan's not as much in the conversation after losing to Oklahoma, that is our next favorite team here.
USC scores points. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who wins in this chaos bracket?
Oh, we're going Penn State still.
Going Penn State. It is the year of James Franklin.
Ain't it the year?
Okay. Well, we'll wait and see if it's his year. I feel like we've been waiting for so many years. But according to Ken's in the chaos bracket, it is all Penn State. More from Mackenzie Brooks and our entire Sportsline crew on the Early Edge podcast. Just recorded an episode earlier today with Claudia Bellafato. Make sure you scan that QR code to get locked in right now.